Finally, the material that can be used or composites for aircraft, rocket, and space shuttle according to the properties of a material below, and by having a mixed composite of their properties, we can have the material that is needed in the specific details. First, let's start by the first metal or structure that can be used in the aircraft, rocket, and the space shuttle, which is the most important one and most used one, which is the aluminum alloy. Aluminum alloy. There are three groups of aluminum alloys. The nickel-free duralumin, and the second one is a derivation of white alloy, and finally the aluminum, zinc, and the magnesium group. Alloys from each group have been used extensively for airframe, skin, and the other stressed components. The choice of alloy being influenced by a factor such as strength and ductility of a manufacturer resistance to corrosion and amenability to protective the treatment. Fatigue, strength, and freedom for a liability to sudden cracking due to the internal and the resistance to fast crack propagation under the load. Second material that can be used for aerospace material is the steel. Steel's high specific gravity prevent. It is a widespread usage in aircraft construction. However, it's retained some value as a material for casting for small component demanding high tensile strength, high stiffness, and a high resistance to wear. Such a component includes the undercarriage pivot brakes of an aircraft and a wing rod attachment, and also fasteners and trucks. And the third material for aerospace material is the titanium. Titanium alloy possesses a high specific properties, have a good fatigue strength and tensile strength. Tensile strength ratio with a distinct fatigue limit, and some retain considerable strength and temperature up to 400 to 500 Celsius. In generally, there is also good resistance to a corrosion and corrosion fatigue, although properties are adversely affected by exposure to temperature and stress in the assault environment. Fourth material that can be used for aerospace material, which is plastic. Not all kind of plastics, but plain plastic material have a specific gravities of approximately a unity and are therefore considerable heavier than a wood, although of a comparable strength. On the other hand, their specific gravity are less than half those of the aluminum alloys, so that they find uses of plastic for windows or lightly stressed part. Those dimensions are established by a handling requirement rather than strength. Plastics are also particularly useful as electrical insulator. And the fifth material that can be used for aircraft and space shuttle and also the rocket is the glass. Glass is the majority of modern aircraft have a cabin pressurized for a flight at a high altitude. Windscreen and the windows are therefore subjected to load and normal to their midplanes. The glass is frequently the material employed for the purpose in the form of plain or laminated plate or a heat-strengthened plate. The final material that can be used for aerospace material is the composite material. Composite material consists of strong fibers such as the glass, carbon, sit in the matrix of a plastic, or epoxy resin, which is the mechanically and chemically protective. In generally, therefore, in a structural form or from two or more sheets are sandwiched together to form a layup, so that the fiber direction match those of the measure loads. This is what I found for material that can be used for aerospace material, so that actually maybe in the future or we will have more material that can be used in the aerospace material. But right now I have chosen these 5 because these are the most important, that are the most using inside the aircraft in general. And finally, to conclude my presentation, aerospace material should be durable enough to resist degradation and damage over a design life of a structural component, which may be ranged from several hours for a rocket engine parts to longer than 30 years for airframe. As we said before, that several factors influence the selection of a structural material for an aircraft. But amongst these, strength allied to lightness is probably the most important, and the properties, the most important one. And the properties which are that we discussed before, that stiffness, toughness, resistance to corrosion and fatigue, and ductile and the coast. This is the end of my presentation, but before ending my presentation, I wanted to give a small example. My example is the last year in 2018 I had an internship for a month in the Samsun city in Turkey. That I have, it was my first experience that I had to see an aircraft from really near, so that I had made so many friends and instructors, so that they give me a part of an aircraft, which is this plate. Actually, this plate, if you see it, you will see that it's really light, but at the same time, it's really strength. I bring it to make a medal for myself, but it's really hard for me to make another shape for this plate. So I just wanted to show you that how quality is this plate that is used for an aircraft. This is the end for my presentation. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you very much.